The desert doesn't care if you're prepared. That's what Lena told herself as she eased the rented Tacoma onto a gravel turnout off Arizona's State Route 89A, halfway between Sedona and Cottonwood. It was late October, the air sharp with the scent of juniper and cooling rock. The sky was a bruised purple, stars just starting to prick through. She and her cousin, Marcus, had spent the day hiking Slide Rock, their boots gritty with red dust, their water bottles nearly dry. They'd planned to camp here, a flat patch beside a dry wash, because the guidebook called it secluded but accessible. Lena didn't love the idea of roadside camping, but Marcus had insisted. "It's one night," he'd said, tossing their gear into the truck bed. "We'll be in Flagstaff by breakfast." Their border collie, Sage, lay in the back seat, her black and white muzzle tucked into her paws. She'd been restless since they left the trailhead, her ears twitching at sounds Lena couldn't catch. Now, as Lena cut the engine, Sage lifted her head, eyes fixed on the wash. The dry channel ran parallel to the highway, a shallow trench of sand and low brush that stretched into the dark. Lena noticed it too, the way the air seemed to thicken, like the night was holding its breath. Marcus hopped out, stretching his arms. "2 bars," he said, waving his phone. "Enough to post a pic." He grinned, but Lena caught the edge in his voice. He felt it too. The quiet that wasn't just quiet. No crickets, no wind rustling the creosote, just the faint tick of the truck's cooling engine. They set up fast, a pop-up tent, a propane stove, a folding table. Sage stayed close, her tail low, circling the truck instead of bounding off like usual. Lena clipped a headlamp to her belt and tossed Marcus a flashlight. "Don't wander," she said, half joking. He smirked, but his eyes darted to the wash. Dinner was instant noodles, eaten under the soft glow of a battery lantern. Headlights swept past on 89A every few minutes, their beams cutting arcs across the brush before fading. Lena tried to stream a podcast, but the signal buffered endlessly, so they let the silence settle. Sage didn't eat her kibble. She lay by the tent flap, her gaze locked on the wash, a low whine humming in her throat. "You okay, girl?" Lena asked, crouching beside her. Her fur was warm, but she trembled under Lena's hand, her eyes unblinking. Marcus laughed it off. "She's just wired from the hike. Let her chill." Lena wasn't so sure. She stood, scanning the wash. The lantern's light barely reached the edge where the ground dropped into shadow. Something flickered there, a quick shift like a branch swaying without wind. She squinted, her headlamp catching only dirt and scrub. "Marcus," she said, keeping her voice low. "You see that?" He followed her gaze, his flashlight beam jittery. "Well, see what? It's just dark." But it wasn't just dark. The air carried a smell now, faint but wrong, like hot coins left in a damp glove. Lena's stomach tightened. She'd smelled something like it once, years ago, when her car battery had overheated on a back road. But this was sharper, alive somehow. She clicked off her headlamp, letting her eyes adjust. The wash stayed still, but the silence felt heavier, like it was waiting. Marcus zipped the tent shut and threw their plates into a trash bag. "Let's crash," he said, his voice too casual. "Big day tomorrow." Lena nodded, but she didn't move. Sage had slid halfway under the truck, her paws scraping the dirt, her whine now a low growl. She called her softly. Sage didn't budge. Inside the tent, they unrolled their sleeping bags. Lena kept her boots by the zipper and the headlamp in her pocket. Marcus left the lantern on low, its blue glow pooling on the tent floor. The truck was parked 10 feet away, nose pointed toward the highway for a quick exit. Lena had insisted on that, a habit from years of camping alone. She lay back, listening to the van's metal ping as it cooled. Marcus was already snoring, one arm flung over his face. Sage's growls stopped. The silence that followed was worse. Lena sat up, her pulse tapping her throat. She eased the tent flap open, just enough to see the truck. Sage was still under it, her eyes glinting in the lantern's faint spill. But now, beyond the truck, something stood at the wash's edge. Tall, too tall, its outline sharp against the starlit sky. It didn't move like a person, no sway, no shift of weight. It just stood, arms hanging low, head tilted like it was listening. Lena's breath caught. She nudged Marcus, her voice a whisper. "Wake up, now." He blinked awake, groggy. "What?" "Don't talk. Look." She pointed through the flap. Marcus froze, his eyes locking on the shape. It hadn't moved, but its presence felt like a weight pressing the air. Sage's growl started again, softer now, like she was afraid to be heard. "Is that a person?" Marcus whispered. Lena didn't answer. She didn't know. The shape's arms were wrong, too long, the elbows bent at angles that didn't match a human frame. It shifted, not stepping, but gliding, cutting left along the wash's edge, then right, faster than it should have. Lena's skin prickled. She'd seen coyotes move like that, fluid and low, but this was upright, deliberate. The truck's rear door creaked, a slow, steady flex, like someone testing the handle. Lena grabbed the headlamp and flicked it on, aiming the beam through the tent flap. The light caught the truck's bumper, then the dirt beyond. The shape was gone, but the wash wasn't empty. A handprint marked the truck's rear window, high up, where neither of them could have reached without a ladder. 5 long fingers, a narrow palm, smeared in something oily that glistened in the beam. The smell hit harder now. Hot metal, sour, and close. Sage whimpered, her body pressed flat under the truck. Lena's heart slammed. "Keys!" she hissed. Marcus fumbled in his pocket and tossed them to her. She crawled to the tent's edge, her hands shaking as she unzipped it fully. The shape hadn't reappeared, but the wash felt alive, its shadow shifting just beyond the light. "Get Sage," Lena said, her voice steady despite the panic clawing at her chest. Marcus slid out, calling softly for the dog. Sage crawled out, her tail tucked, and bolted into the tent. Lena grabbed the lantern and stood, sweeping the headlamp across the wash. Nothing. Just brush and sand, and that handprint, now dripping slightly, like it was fresh. The truck's door flexed again, a soft pop of metal. Lena spun, her beam catching the rear handle as it jiggled once, then stopped. Marcus was already at the driver's side, Sage in his arms. "Go," he said, his voice tight. Lena didn't hesitate. She sprinted to the passenger door, yanking it open as Marcus slid Sage into the back. The engine roared to life, the headlights punching through the dark. At the edge of the beam, the shape straightened, fast like a wire snapping taut. It leaned forward, its head low, arms dangling. Lena's breath fogged the window as she stared. It wasn't running, but it moved, keeping pace with the truck as they rolled towards the highway, always just outside the light's full reach. A second set of headlights flared behind them. Another vehicle, an old van, pulled out from a turnout 100 yards back. Its beam swept the wash, and for a split second, Lena saw the shape clearly. Too tall, too thin, its knees bending wrong as it lunged into the brush. The van's driver didn't slow, just kept close, their high beams cutting a path across the wash like they knew what to light up. Lena floored it, the truck's tires spitting gravel as they hit 89A. The van stayed on their tail, not crowding, but steady, guiding them towards Cottonwood's lights. Sage whined in the back, her nose pressed to the glass. Marcus gripped the wheel, his knuckles white. "What the hell was that?" he muttered. "Don't ask," Lena said. She didn't look back. The handprint was still there. She knew it, etched into the glass with that hot coin smell. The van followed them to a gas station, its bright canopy a lifeline. The driver, an older woman with a braid and work boots, stepped out and nodded once. She didn't speak, just pointed at their rear window. The handprint was fainter now, but the oily smear caught the station's light. "Don't camp near washes," the woman said, her voice flat. "Not this time of year." She climbed back into her van and drove off, leaving them under the fluorescent hum. Lena cleaned the window at dawn, the smell lingering on her hands even after soap. They didn't camp again that trip. Sage slept pressed against Lena's side for days, her eyes darting to every shadow. When they told the story later, they kept it short. The turnout exists, the wash is real, the handprint was there. If you don't believe it, Lena wouldn't argue, but if your dog won't settle and the night goes too quiet, don't wait for a print on the glass. Get to the road. Keep